Hello, it's me. It's been a while. So, about a year and a half in the Air Force now. And why is this losing focus? It should focus back on me soon. Either way, you can hear me. So, the stuff that's been happening is my family and I have moved to Texas. We lived on base for a year. And now we've actually bought a house here in San Antonio and are living off base now. Living off base is definitely optimal, especially with the BAH that we get, because we can get more space, and especially in a 3-person family. Now, if you're single, then it doesn't matter as much. But if you're single and you live in the dorms, you're going to want to get off base just because you're so used to being on base and you hate it. So the updates is it's normally not recommended to be buying a house when you're new to the military, because you're going to obviously PCS and move and yada yada. But my husband and I spoke about it, and we liked the San Antonio housing market. I mean, it's got over a million people here. So we had full faith in buying that we will probably be able to sell this place or rent it out. Now, if you're at like a smaller base, such as like where I came from, where I grew up, of Warner Robins, Georgia, or Seymour Johnson, North Carolina, buying a place is probably not the best option for you. So, trying to think if there's anything else. Settling into the squadron was different. You kind of got to learn. This is going to sound horrible, but you got to learn your place. Like, I had a tendency to come across as a know-it-all, but I don't know it all at all. And but it was just the way I came across to people, so I had to work on my dynamic and interaction with others. My supervisor, when I first came, he was unsure of how I was, so he would micromanage me. But I'm really kind of a self-starter. You don't have to look over my shoulder. I will act right if you just look at me. You don't even have to say anything. And so his approach was, at first, until he filled me out, was to micromanage me and look over my shoulder and then yell at me if I stepped out of line. So, but it was definitely, I had to learn what was expected of me, and he also learned. So it just proves that learning is on both sides of the fence when it comes to your interaction at work. Outside of work, I've been volunteering a lot. I go with the Air Force Sergeants Association chapter here, which is, every base should have a chapter, so check into it. Because not only does that look good on your packages and stuff, but it's also, if you're passionate about being a part of an organization, that's the organization to be a part of, because Air Force Sergeants Association lobbies on Capitol Hill on our behalf, which obviously we can't pick up a picket and say, we need this, we want that. So they do. It's a whole bunch of retired Chief Master Sergeants that do it for us. And it does cost to be a member, but you get your money's worth, because they do argue on your behalf, and you see the results every time Congress votes. So that's my little podium stance. What else is there? Well, once I settled in and I got into a routine, I started looking for volunteer that I like doing. And the ones I've stuck with is I plan a monthly Fish House meal with our ASSO chapter, which everyone likes. And it's really enjoyable. It's just once a month, and we feed the families at Fisher House, which, if you don't know that, families who go to Fisher House are usually have a military member who's in the hospital or has passed away, and they're trying to settle their items and such of whatever they left behind. But it's kind of nice to not have to worry about dinner, So the next part is my the thing that I do is I go to the VA hospital, and that's about once every quarter with my chapter. But it's really enjoyable. And I've also got involved with my squadron. I actually just got appointed as treasurer for our squadron booster club. So I have lots of money under my belt. What else is there? But volunteering aside, you really want to do some self-building stuff like school and such, since I had my bachelor's coming in, and I'm still looking into applying to OTS, which now the boards are not open because we're cutting down the workforce. I still am going to school and trying to better myself, but that's just me. I have a goal, I reach that goal, I set another goal. So the goal I'm going for now is my master's, just because I can. And luckily the school I go to, they have the tuition assistance rate, so there's no money coming out of my pocket to do that. And luckily my work's is manageable with the school load. Regarding my family and how it's impacted them, it took my husband a little while to kind of realize the whole phrase of service before self. And I also had to realize it, because yes, there's service before self, but, you know, military, if I make a career, is 20, 30 years. My family's still going to be there after that 20 or 30 years. So you really have to find that balance. And in some jobs, you can't say no whatsoever. And in other jobs, you can go, listen, I can't do that, but I can do this. So you really got to find that balance. Luckily, one thing that helped me is once I got through my CDCs, which I finished, I had 4 volumes of CDCs, and I finished that in 6 months. Technically, I finished them in 3 months, but when I was working through CDCs, halfway through, they changed it on me and gave me new ones, so I had to start all over. But once I was done with CDCs, when I was home, I was home. I didn't work on work at home. I focused on being home. Another thing that I got better about, because my husband is a stay-at-home dad and he likes to golf on the weekends and that's his time, I made sure if he asked me to do anything, unless I was busy, obviously busy of something that I couldn't put down, I would immediately get up and do whatever it was he asked me to do, so that he wouldn't ever feel that he was alone, because being alone all day with a kid does have that feeling. But that's pretty much it. I think my family's grown stronger in this first year and a half of the military. I've grown stronger. I've learned what is expected of me, and, you know, made sure not to burn myself out, because I have a tendency to do that, where the standard's here and then I go above it and then I get burnt out, and so I can't even reach the standard the next time. So you definitely gotta balance that. But I'm pretty excited. The future that will hold for me is hopefully OTS. I'm still gonna keep my package going, so that when the OTS boards, which is, by the way, is officer training school, so that way when OTS boards open up, I can hopefully apply right away. Sorry about that. And the other thing is I should get senior airman below the zone. And if I get that, I'll be able to sew on senior airman 6 months ahead of time, which it's about $200 extra a month, so that's about $1,200 before you sew on, if you sew on early, which is kind of nice. Of course, not everything's about money. It's really, the best thing you can do is just do your job, do some volunteer work, and better yourself, and then all the awards, all the recognition is sure to follow. One of the best advice I got before I even came in was, don't worry about the extra stuff, just do your job, and if you do your job, you will exceed half the Air Force already, or half the military. And so just hearing that, and experience it kind of held true, that as long as I focus on my job first, I'll find time for everything else. So that's pretty much it. I guess comment if you have any questions, and I'll give you updates if I get senior airman below the zone, or if I get officer. Fingers crossed.